This is Pasquale. I'm going to take a few minutes to go over my components for this week with the HTML markup. For my first one, this header, I went ahead and created as simple as possible, keeping the HTML structured like we talked about on Tuesday night. I've got a header that surrounds the entire thing. This H1 is for the logo. When I did it this way because so that when I style it, I can add the logo as a background image and indent the text off the page. But for SEO purposes, this would still be a good choice. I've wrapped this portion of the header in a nav tag for the main navigational links, using list items and A tags for each of those, and then created a separate section inside the header. This UL houses all of the social media links, and again, a background image can replace those very easily, and that was my reason for this choice of structure. The last part is this standalone magnifying glass over here, which I'm not sure if it's showing up on your screens, but it is a separate item from the social icons, so I set it as a separate section to function the same way as these, just all by itself. My second component is the front page teasers. There are 3 of these, just sticking with the simplicity of keeping the HTML minimal. I made one big section with an ID on it. I added each one of these as an article. So within those articles you've got your image, and I've put a class on here, teardrop heart leaf, that matches each of the items that will be an image, a hover image, and then an H2 tag for the title, paragraph, and a paragraph with an A tag that has the buttons that will be styled later. For my third component, this is a sidebar newsfeed. On this one, went ahead and used an aside, because this will, if you look at the main page wired, you'll see that it sits to the right of the main content. These are teasers to get people to read some of the other articles that are available. So the aside is the container for the whole thing. I've got an H2 for the header. I've done an article, each one of these news items into their own article, and within those you've got the image. And the whole reason for putting a section tag around all of the copy is so that I can float the image left, float the image right, or float the text right, and be able to style those fairly easily without having to do too many divs or anything like that. My fourth component is these 2 side-by-side forms. On this, I did a section that wraps the entire amount of content. So both forms are wrapped in the section tag. Inside that, I've created one form as an article here, and it's got the H2, a paragraph tag for one of these, and then a second paragraph tag, followed by the social links in an unordered list. I created another paragraph tag for this or. I want us to be able to style, because each of these, this one's bold, this one's not bold, this one's all caps, and it's centered, and it's a different font size than the rest of it, so I wanted individual paragraph tags so that I could style each of these differently. And then you've got the form, and there are only 2 fields here, one for the email address, one for the password, followed by a link, and then the button. The other form for creating an account, if you don't have one, is pretty much the same way. A couple of elements are different, but you've got your H2 at the top, paragraph tag saying you can create your account using one of the social media applications, and I've got all those here in an unordered list, followed by the same thing, the paragraph for the or, and then the form. And within this form you've got a couple extra fields. You've got email, password, confirm password. There are 2 checkboxes. I've put them both here, and could not think of another way to make this text green and these 3 text items green with the main black color for the the content there without using spans. So I went ahead and put spans here with a class of green on them because later on I intend to be able to single those out and style them appropriately. My fourth component is the About Us. This one was really simple actually. I went ahead and made it one big section. So you've got a section with an ID of About Us that wraps the entire thing. Each one of the employees is wrapped as an article. Within that article you've got an image tag, an H3 for the employee's name, and a paragraph for the job title. I didn't think I needed classes or IDs on any of the articles, any of the markup for the copy. Instead, just the ID on the About Us, and should be able to style the article, the P, the H3 tag, all of them appropriately based on just based on the ID. The CSS should be able to be applied without too many classes. After that, I've got my CTA comp. This one, same kind of idea as the employee thing. I wrapped it all in a section. This has an ID up at the top. No classes in here because should be able to style these uniformly. I just think that I need to wrap some of the larger text items in a span. Other than that, this one should be fairly easy to do. So you've got an article, a section, an image, and a paragraph tag for the copy that goes with each of those. After the component for the CTA, I have the image gallery. This one was very simple. I started with an H1 all by itself at the top of the page, then wrapped the images in a section. Within that section, you've got the A tag here at the top that creates this link, and then you've got unordered list. Each one of the list items containing an image, and basically can target that just by targeting the ID and the image and styling them all the same, giving them a hover option that creates the thicker border, and I will add title tags to create these tooltips that pop up when you hover over the top. The item after that is the footer. In this footer, I watched Mr. Bloom's video about the footer after I had already started this, and I still feel like I've never done a website that has two footers in it. Not to say that you can't, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me having two footers when you can section this off. So I made one big section right here called footer menu. Inside that are these smaller sections. This first one is the for physicians menu. This second one contains the for employees section, and this third one contains the terms of use and each of the links that go along with those headers. There's another section down here for the follow us and an unordered list to house all the different social links. My reason for wrapping this in a section instead of creating a second footer was just I think that you can style this section with this light gray color and this border up here at the top, have an additional section with just an A tag, apply a background image to this section that's the bubbles and the dark blue background, and set the logo on the A tag and text indent the text off the page. So that was my reason for doing it that way. I've got my banner. This is a rotating banner. I'm just showing you the first one because I believe the rotation occurs with JavaScript, and it doesn't. I honestly don't have any other images except for this first one. You've got a section for the banner with an ID of banner. Inside that is the image, and I've given that a class of slide 1 because functionally there will be other slides that go with this, because, and you know this because there's the navigation here where the user can click down or click up to go to the next slide or the previous slide. I believe this is all photoshopped from just looking at it on the surface, but I was thinking more of from an SEO standpoint, it's a good idea to have an H2 that shows up with the rich history, renowned taste, an H3 with the raising awareness about the great coffee, and a P tag that has all of the body copy. I'd put a span around who is Karis because it's the only part of this section that is capitalized and would probably apply a CSS property to that capitalizes all the text. But conversationally, like we talked about on Tuesday night, I've written it all out lowercase like you would formulate a regular paragraph. You've got buttons here, the next slide and the previous slide, and the title tags for the tooltips that would pop up if the user hovered over them. And those can be positioned over here with the CSS. Finally, I've got my follow social icons. These ones, keeping it simple like everything else, I set one section with an ID on it, a paragraph, an H2 for the larger text, and then an unordered list that contains each one of the icons, and classes set for those so that when you hover, these will change colors. So that's everything I've got, and thanks for watching.